Channel welcomes you to Fontana, California, where it's a beautiful weekend and a great day for Budweiser Bowl qualifying for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. For those of you who are just joining us, moments ago, Jason Leffler clinched his first Busch Series pole of the season. Martin Truex will start alongside in the Stater Brothers 300 tomorrow on Fox. Now we turn our attention to the Nextel Cup Series and get set to go for qualifying after I think many folks are happy to leave Talladega in their rear-view mirror.
Oh, trouble. Wait, the caution is out, and we are past the red flag lap.
And who at that moment was the leader?
It would be obviously either Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 or Jeff Gordon in the 24.
And Jeff Gordon will win over Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Fans throwing debris out onto the track, upset with Jeff Gordon winning under the caution flag.
Gillette Mach 3 Turbo presents the Nextel Cup standings. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 94 up on Jimmy Johnson. His teammate Jeff Gordon falls to third. Kurt Busch and Matt Kenseth the top 5. Welcome to Fontana. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip. And when we last left you, we weren't too thrilled with the fans' actions at Talladega. We understand their upset at not being able to see a green flag finish, at the questionable nature of who was in front at what time, something they couldn't see well from their seats that was decided from the booth. We understand their dismay, but we can't condone their actions, throwing things on the racetrack, and that's why we're happy to move on and come to California.
Yeah, every sporting event there, the fans are very emotional. We know that. But where do you draw the line? You know, it's a can today, it's a cooler tomorrow, it's a chair. It'll be a person one of these days, and you just got to put an end to that. We don't need that in our sport. And I've seen it in baseball and other sports. We don't need it in ours.
Well, those cars are going by at 70 miles an hour. A full beverage can becomes a pretty hefty thing to throw out there at one of those. Let's leave that on the table and let's move to California, Larry, where, as we talked about in Busch qualifying, you need the whole package here.
I mean, you do. This is a 2-mile racetrack. The banking is less than half of what it was at Talladega last week, only 14 degrees. But what I'm seeing, at least in practice, not our young guns, but our rookies are up there. You've got Brian Vickers, you've got Scott Riggs, you've got Casey Kane, Brendan Gaughan. All these guys were in the top 10, so these guys are standing on the gas at a 2-mile racetrack where you enter the corner at almost 200 miles per hour.
Yeah, and we've only run 7 races here, or this will be our 7th race here. And so everybody's kind of on an equal footing here. You don't have a long history of what works and doesn't work. So I think that clean sheet of paper, if you will, kind of makes it easy for the guys that don't have a lot of laps here to run well.
Well, let's find out from one of those rookies. In fact, the fastest driver in Cup practice. Here's Dick Berggren.
And that would be 20-year-old Brian Vickers, and he has come close before to winning an Nextel Cup pole. In fact, he has qualified on the outside of the front row on 3 separate occasions. How about it? Today, the day to finally crack it and win your first career pole in this series?
I hope so. That would be nice. I tell you what, a pole in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series would be awesome. I mean, this GMAC Chevy team's worked so hard. We've come so close so many times. I mean, we've got a good shot at it today. We're going to go out there and do our best and see where we end up.
All right, good luck to you. Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, thank you, Dick. Do you believe in home track advantage? The few of the drivers here that hail from the California area sure would like to believe it. And if Jeff Gordon is any example, you have to buy into it a little bit. He does have a pole here, a handful of wins on Sunday. And Jeff Gordon comes into his home track riding a high. Think about this, in the last 4 races, he's gone from 13th to 3rd. Jeff Gordon turning things around. No worse for the wear because of the soda cans or the other beverage of choice cans that made their way onto the track. But you cannot say the same thing for his teammate who had a little difficulty this morning.
Here's Jimmy Johnson going around and testing the safer barriers. Coming up, Bud Pole qualifying from Fontana. And tomorrow, Nextel Cup final practice on FX at 3. The NASCAR Busch Series race, the 300-miler, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Sunday, it's the Auto Club 500 presented by Visa, 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. and then right back here to Speed News. NASCAR edition at 7 and Victory Lane at 8. Speed Channel's coverage of Budweiser Pole qualifying from California Speedway is brought to you by YJ Stinger, the extreme energy drink. Catch the buzz, feel the sting. By Bombardier ATV, see the Outlander Max, made for 1 or 2 riders, follow no one. And by Mach 3 Turbo from Gillette, the world's best shave.
I think you can see why we call them safer barriers. When you looked at the 48 car there a little bit ago, they're not soft walls. If they were, they wouldn't tear the man's car up like that. So
yeah.
They are safer barriers, and they do an absolutely incredible job.
The damage did appear limited to Jimmy Johnson. His Busch Series teammate, Kyle Busch, also crashed in practice, had to go to a backup car. And there is the damage is primarily the left rear on Kyle's car, but the result the same.
But since this happened before qualifying, they were able to get this car out on the racetrack, get a little practice time with it before qualifying. They actually presented the car for inspection for qualifying with the motor they're going to race. So he had a pretty good qualifying run, so he will start where he qualified. He will not have to go to the rear of the field.
Well, it's a new week, it's a new day, but here's our most recent pole winner. Not Jeff Burton, the fellow who just walked out of the shot.
That's right, Ricky Rudd. You know, we're chasing you down. You're the man of the hour. You still got another week's reign here of the pole sitter. What can we expect after last week? What will you do for an encore?
Well, I'm going to enjoy my reign for about another 5-10 minutes, I think, and starts all over again. It's a whole different racetrack. You know, it's slippery out here. It's getting hotter, and the Busch cars slowed up quite a bit from their practice, and everybody's fighting to try to get a hold of the racetrack. Some guys are going to hit it and some guys aren't. We were really good in the morning when it was cool. When it got hotter, we fell off a lot more than other guys did. So we're kind of questioning what we need to do right now with tire pressure, things of that such nature.
All right, go to work, sir.
Hope so. Maybe get lucky, maybe.
43 cars are here. That's how many will start on Sunday. And even though there are 2 cars out of provisionals, those driven by Stanton Barrett and Kirk Shelmerdine, they will fill the field, and all 43 that are here will race.
You know, when it's cooler, you can be much more aggressive with your setup. The track's got a little bit more grip in it. You can put those Daytona shocks on and pull that sucker down, and she'll get enough grip that you can go right around here. As it gets hotter and slicker, you've got to change your setup for the hotter conditions.
And I think that's what happened to the Busch cars, Darrell. This track is very smooth. Their practice was very early this morning when the track was very cool. Then they qualified in the middle of the day, and I think it threw a lot of them a curve. There's another thing that threw a lot of those guys a curve. You saw the flags right there. The wind is blowing very hard down the backstretch across 1 and 2. We heard a lot of those Busch guys say my car wouldn't turn in 1 and 2. It's like the wind was pushing the nose up the racetrack.
Well, they changed directions. The wind was blowing the opposite direction that it is now. This morning when they practiced, when they go to qualify, turned around and blew them down the front straightaway. So the wind really played havoc with a lot of these cats.
So by Sunday, when it's 93 degrees at race time, things ought to be really exciting.
I'm going to be praying for a little wind on Sunday. W-I-N-D and W-I-N and you get the picture.
Yeah, G-O-N-E, Brendan Gaughan is our first qualifier. Had his best Cup finish last week at Talladega, 13th. He has 2 top 10 starts in his rookie season, driving the Kodak 77.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, one of those rookies, he was 6th quickest in practice at a 39.05. And yeah, last week that's the first time he's been the highest finishing rookie of the race.
I noticed all the 3 of the Penske cars were really good in practice this morning.
You know, a lot of teams could not come out here and test because of the track being closed to install the safer barriers, but you mentioned the Penske cars. Ryan Newman, Brendan Gaughan's teammate, those guys came out here way back in January before they even started the installation of the safer barriers.
I think that's a pretty good lap right there, 38.74.
Yeah, that's 2.5 tenths, almost 3 tenths quicker than he practiced. He practiced at a 39.05.
And again, the conditions are not as good. Although I think we saw at the end of Busch qualifying, the track looked like it may have speeded up just a little bit as the sun starts to move off the track.
Now in the Busch Series, we saw a lot of one and done qualifying efforts. Will we see the same here?
I'm going to say the fastest lap for most of these guys is going to be on the first lap. Yeah, he slows down almost 3.5 tenths on his second lap.
Rookies would run 5 laps if you'd let them. They just want to go and go and go. Oh, this is fun. As McMurray would say, this is cool.
Jeannie.
Elliott Sadler getting ready to roll here, just having a little fun. I saw your head together with your teammate, with Dale Jarrett. What kind of things are you talking about before you go out and make your run? You're obviously before him.
We're talking about the wind, actually. If it was blowing that much in practice, and how it's going to control the car coming off turn 2. So actually that's what we're looking at, the flags on the front stretch, to see if it's going to make the car tighter than what we expect coming off turn 2, because we were already tight anyway. So maybe I'll be the guinea pig and maybe be able to give him some information. So we'll see what happens. But the Pedigree Ford Taurus was good in practice, and it's my same car I had here at Texas. So it's a good car, and we'll just see if we can get a good lap with it.
Maybe the better question, will the wind blow out all the birthday candles? Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. It's cool. It's my last one. I can actually say 20-something. I'm 29, so I don't know how the 30-year-old deal is going to act next year, but all of a sudden a great birthday for us. M&M's flew out my parents yesterday for a deal they did for me. It's the first time I've got to spend my birthday with my parents in like 6 years, so that was a great surprise. So they're out here with me this weekend, so all in all, it's been a great weekend so far.
Happy birthday. And I can say Mike and I, we don't know anything about that 30 stuff either. Right, Mike?
30 stuff. I don't know anything about 40-something stuff, but thanks, Jeannie.
Speaking of 40-something stuff, you know who else's birthday it is today?
I believe it's Brother Michael's, isn't it?
Little Michael, yeah.
Little Mikey is 41.
41.
So.
It's amazing how much closer together we get as time goes by.
That's right.
16 years doesn't seem to be near that far apart now.
I tell you what, Joe Nemechek, he lays down a lap at 38.55, and you know what? I would say with the track record being a 38.41, we stand a huge chance of breaking that track record today.
Well, with the tires they've got, they're a little softer, a little more grip. You got a little less rear blade. Yeah, I think, you know, every week we should set a track record.
Joe Nemechek, who got his first career pole right here in 1997, is fastest. Dick Bergman.
Yeah, but I'm with Brendan Gaughan, and when you stopped the car, you were so animated, happy with your lap. Where was it especially good?
Well, we gained 3 tenths from practice, and the Kodak team, that's what we've been trying to do, is keep improving. That was definitely an improvement. 3 and 4 was awesome. Went through 3 and 4, and it stuck like a charm. But apparently, front row Joe has got us. But we think that might be good enough to stick us in the top 5. I mean, we gained 3 tenths, and guys are going to have to gain a bunch with this wind. It should help us.
Is it just me, Mike, or is he starting to talk like Rusty? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Is he starting to do the jukey thing? Yeah, there he goes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Going to be just like him. All right, you're going to love this. As the 0-2 comes out, Hermie Sadler, who's made 2 starts this year. The first race in what's now the Nextel Cup Series was held in California in 1951. Marshall Teague won it in a Hudson Hornet. Frank Mundy finished 11th driving a rental car. He had to wait until after dark to return the car so the rental agency wouldn't notice that he had worn the tires down to the cords. Wow. True story.
Did you know, speaking of true stories, that there was a dirt road course that the cars ran on back in 1951, I think it was. Willow Springs, 2.5-mile dirt road course.
It wasn't paved. It
wasn't paved.
It's still there. It's paved track now. But
yeah, it was dirt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody just told me about that.
Did you know, as Hermie Sadler is 3rd fastest, that downtown Beverly Hills was once a 1-mile oval track?
Downtown Beverly Hills?
They called it Los Angeles Speedway because at that time in the 20s, nobody knew where Beverly Hills was.
Well, did you know?
Well, look, I can't contribute to y'all's history lesson, but did you know that Hermie Sadler's hauler coming out here broke down twice in Tennessee? That's one of the reasons it don't have many decals on it. The car wasn't even decaled when they left North Carolina, and they didn't have time to get it done when they got here.
In March of 1961, Fireball Roberts led every lap of a race out here. Did you know?
Welcome back to California Speedway in Fontana. Just about 4 or 5 miles from where the old 2.5-mile replica of Indianapolis, the Ontario Motor Speedway, used to sit. That's now an office park. Its time has passed, and this is now the major speedway of the West Coast. It's Jeremy Mayfield, who had a great qualifying effort in the Busch Series. He'll start top 10 comes out. He'll be the 4th driver to qualify behind Joe Nemechek, Brendan Gaughan, and Hermie Sadler.
The reason I knew about the Willow Springs being dirt was I was talking to a guy last night. I said, you know, at Riverside, you could go off on turn 2, go all the way up through the dirt, come back on turn 6, and never lose the lead. He said, well, then you would have loved that 2.5-mile dirt track over Willow Springs.
And Jeremy was 7th quickest in practice earlier. As you say, good qualifying run in the Busch Series.
3rd quickest, 39.08.
If you notice right there, the yellow tick mark, what that's telling us right there, that's what shows where he falls at the end of his first lap. Remember, it's 2-lap qualifying. We'll see some of these guys take a 2nd lap.
What you may want to watch that, but this right here is what I watch. That's 188, 191, and 2, 3, 4 just keeps climbing. But that's on the short back straightaway, 2,500 feet. Down this front straightaway from about where he is now to turn 1, it's 3,100 feet. And watch the speed climb here.
If you notice, we never see this brake light lit up whatsoever, but we see this green wide open throttle pretty much stay that way 70–80% around this racetrack.
2nd lap about 1,500 slower, so Mayfield right now is 3rd. Dick Berggren.
With front row Joe, who was 4th quick in practice today, and so far you're the fastest guy. Is that going to stick?
Well, I got first thing I got to say is, did you know I sat on the first ever pole here, guys? Did you know?
Yes, and I didn't say that.
I don't know. I have no idea if it'll hold up, but it'll be a good starting spot. This whole Army Chevy crew, they've been giving me great cars. You know, thanks to the Army, USG Sheetrock. We just had some bad luck here lately, and this is the same car we had at Texas. I think we were running 3rd, and we end up breaking a spark plug late in the race, and it's just unfortunate. The last 3 weeks, we've been right there in contention, and something's happened. But these guys never give up. I don't give up. We're right there. I think we got a shot at the pole here.
Did you know we're going to Genie's Alaska right now? We are.
Wow, prolific. Johnny Sauter. What do you take from the Busch qualifying that you bring to the Cup qualifying?
I'll tell you what, all morning long I was probably overdriving my Busch car a little bit too much, and they kept telling me on the radio just to back off, getting in the corner, and probably soft pedaled it too much. So I thought I was going to end up top 10 over there, but we didn't. We ended up 14th. So my approach here is just to get us a decent qualifying effort, I guess, with our AOL Chevrolet. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll be in the top 20.
All right, you get yourself ready. And Mike, I feel like I'm trapped in that I Love Lucy episode where every child came on and said, it's my birthday too. Yeah. Because it's Johnny Sauter's birthday tomorrow. So give him a pair of shoes.
Parachute?
Pair of shoes.
Thank you.
You don't remember the I Love Lucy episode?
Not that one.
All right. It was a good one. Go back to the files.
Jeff Burton, he'll be 4th quickest on his first lap at a 39.31. Good run for Jeff last week, as he pretty much is going to end it after 1 lap. Finished 7th. That's his first top 10 finish of 2004. Did you know that, DW?
No, but did you know Aunt B made Opie a birthday cake on his 6th birthday in 1951?
Elliot, you kicked off Autism Awareness Month with a great win in Texas. And on your 29th birthday, the Autism Society of America and its 25,000 members are proud to present you with a ribbon birthday cake.
That is cool. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody from the Autism Society of America. It's something that's been special to our heart here the last few years, and really learning more and more about it every day, especially thanks to Artie here filling us in, and just make some great people with that organization. And so glad to Race for Hope's coming up here in a couple weeks, and hopefully raise some more money and some more awareness for the Autism Society of America. So thanks so much for the cake. It looks good. I can't wait to dive into it.
That's our director, Artie Kempner, making the presentation. He is the head of the Autism Society of his home state of Delaware. Did you know that's the first state? So Aunt B made a cake. What episode of Live Hello Lucy? Never mind.
No, it wasn't on. No, that was on Andy Griffith.
All right, time to race the dog food.
At 5 o'clock every day, I'm going home and watch Andy Griffith. I don't care where I am.
Elliott Sadler in the Robert Yates Ford, number 38.
That and the Three Stooges.
which is what this show has become, yeah. 4th fastest, 39.19. There's a guy on the radio where we live that claims to be the world's expert on Mayberry trivia. Now, I guess that's quite a claim to fame. I'm not quite sure.
Elliott was 10th quickest in practice. He's actually slowed down from what he practiced. He ran a 39.12. As you heard him say in his interview a while ago, it's his car that he won at Texas with. These guys went and did a little motor testing up at Kentucky Motor Speedway earlier this week before coming out here.
Now, do they have their new cylinder heads this week? Because we kept hearing this was the place where they were going to break them out.
You know, I don't know that. I don't have that answer. That may have been what was behind that motor testing at Kentucky.
I got to write that down. You don't have a note on this?
38.97, quickest on the second lap. Elliott Sadler is third. Dick Bergman.
And Jeremy Mayfield is fourth. You're faster in both the Busch car and the Cup car. Having a good weekend?
Yeah, it's not too bad so far. You know, did you know we won here in 2000?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
Did you know that? Do you know that? So,
I do know that now, yes. How about Sunday, though?
I feel good about it. We got a great car and a great race car, better than what we're going to end up here qualifying. But our Dodge just been really good all day and just seemed like we had a good lap. You know, just wasn't what we thought, but certainly a good race car and feel good about Sunday.
Do you know I drink that stuff every time I go skateboarding?
Really? Did you know I like that?
Yeah, I did know that.
That's good.
The Rocket is the track record holder here at Fontana, to the surprise of probably nobody. 38.414, 187.43 miles an hour is Newman's track record. He's looking for his fourth pole of the season. And they've got that 30th or 40th anniversary of Mobile One.
Mobile One's 30th anniversary, yeah. Yeah, he said it's hard to believe they're commemorating something that's older than I am because Ryan's only 26 years old.
Oh, quit rubbing it in.
He was 12th quickest in practice at a 39.15. This is one of the oldest cars in their stable. In fact, this was actually an ARCA car that he ran back in 2001 before he started the full-time Cup Series in 2002.
That baby's getting down, though, I tell you that, because she's got smoke flying out the back of her. That just tells me the tires are rubbing up in the fenders.
Third quickest, 38.76.
And Ryan's normally known for go ahead and running that second lap at a lot of these places.
Oh, he likes to rock it. Baby likes to rock it.
Careful, we'll be paying rights fees.
Quarter.
Is that all? Sing all you want.
When I sing them, it's a quarter. I mean, it's normally a quarter. When I sing, it's $1.
You know, we had talked earlier when his teammate Brendan Gaughan was qualifying that Ryan was one of the few teams that took advantage and came out here and tested, but it was way back in January when a lot of teams were at Las Vegas testing. You see right there, that marks where he was on his first lap. Third quickest. He actually slows down quite a bit.
So Front Row Joe hangs on to the pole for now at 38.55. Welcome back to Fontana. Budweiser pole qualifying for the Nextel Cup Series, and Jeff Gordon, coming off the Talladega win, comes onto the track for his run.
And you hear him hustling. I mean, you don't just come ease out of the pits and get up on the racetrack and then decide to go. When you leave pit road down there, baby, you leave there and you're after it, because coming to get the green lap is just as important as your qualifying lap.
Especially knowing that probably the fast lap's going to be that first lap.
Exactly. You got to get all the speed you can built up before you get to the green flag.
He has one pole and 2 victories here, but hasn't finished in the top 10 here since 2001 when he finished second.
What a tear this group has been on the last 4 races. I mean, they have went to 13th to 3rd.
And you really, really hang that baby out getting in a turn here. You make that real late entry into the corner to get all the speed you can when you come down that hill. And about right in there, you want to man it.
Jeff was 18th quickest in practice at a 39.28. It looked like this is going to be a pole run, though, I don't believe.
Ooh, 5th.
Picks it up from practice.
39.02, 5th of 8.
And what I saw in the second lap there, if you notice, it jumped way over here getting into the corner, but he was late picking up the throttle, and that's when it went way back this way, coming off turn 2.
Well, what happens is you just drive it. You can drive down in the corner here so deep and so far that when you get there, you got a real big problem.
drive it down in there till your voice changes.
That's right, and it won't turn, and you can't get back in the throttle. This is an easy track to overdrive.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, his record here is phenomenal. All 7 starts here, he has completed all but 1 lap of competition.
He's led 329 laps, so he's had a great go here.
Second lap is slower, and there is Jeff Gordon's California Speedway record with 2 victories and 4 top 5s. Last week at Talladega, when the caution came out for Brian Vickers' spin, Jeff Gordon was in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. We were past the point at which the race could have been red flagged and then restarted. Some of the fans chose a way we don't approve of expressing their displeasure with that. Gordon went to victory lane.
We saw Dale Jr. He was riding up next to the outside wall there, next to the fence. He said that way he knew he wasn't going to get hit because they had to throw him over the fence.
Dale Jarrett on the speedway. Dick Berggren with the rocket.
When Ryan Newman finished his qualifying run, he keyed the radio and told the crew the car was too sensitive. What does that mean?
The track's got some bumps down in 1 and 2, and just the way you catch them can be really make or break your lap. And just caught him a little bit wrong. I screwed up in turn 3, gave up some time down there. But, we struggled a little bit in practice today. Come out with a pretty decent lap off the truck, but struggled after that. And, I think that we picked up a lot of speed, but I think a lot of guys will too. So we'll see what the Automobile 1 Dodge is like in race trim.
Okay, we'll watch you pass some cars on Sunday. Thanks, Rocket.
And when he says it's too sensitive, what he means is he can't hustle the car. You got to be so precise. It's right on the edge, and if you overdrive it or if you get back on it too quick, it's liable to jump right out from under you. So it's just real twitchy.
You know, something I've been noticing about Dale Jarrett that we've not seen in not a very good qualifying lap, 39-37, just ever so slightly, we've been seeing this brake light light up just a little bit, getting off into the corner. Let's see if he actually touches. There you see it, right there in the middle of the corner, just as before he picks the throttle back up.
You know why? That thing is loose, and he's going to bring it right on back into the house.
And it shows it on the clock, 39-37. Will make Jarrett, who has 3 top 5 starts here, the 8th of 9 qualifiers so far.
The car was really loose in. Looked like the back end almost stepped out down in turn 3.
Jeff Gordon climbs out after a run that is 5th fastest. Dick?
And I'm going to try to jump in here for a moment if I can. Jeff, same car that you used last year in Atlanta to win that race. Why select that car for this track, given that we've got so much less bank here?
I think you just try to get your best aero car here. That it's a compromise between, the car being real slick and having downforce. And at Atlanta, we try to take a car that has both of those qualities and just a good driving car. This is also a car we had at Texas, and, if the thing feels great, it's just not going fast enough right now.
Well, we got some more practice. Get her dialed in. Thank you.
We will. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's a 2-mile racetrack, and as we've been seeing the times, 38 seconds to get around this racetrack, but you're turning about 3/4 of that time. I mean, even the front straightaway turns a lot, so downforce in both ends of those racetracks, unless you can run around a place wide open, downforce can only help you.
Johnny Sauter on the clock, has 1 top 10 start this year for Richard Childress and the AOL Chevy team, a 10th at Bristol. Finished 14th last week at Talladega, his best finish of the season.
He's the only Rookie of the Year candidate with no DNFs this season in 9 starts. You notice a little different paint scheme. That's a special IMAX paint scheme that our own producer Neil Goldberg had a big hand in.
Folks, if you haven't seen the IMAX NASCAR movie, it's a treat. And I think especially to bring somebody who is not an avowed race fan to see it. You'll see NASCAR like you've never seen it before in IMAX 3D. Johnny Sauter is 9th of 10 with that first lap.
A lot of scenes from this speedway in there, and I think it's tonight up in Cincinnati. The Kentucky Speedway and one of the performing arts centers up there is having a viewing of the IMAX movie.
Easy for you to say.
They have a great scene from this track, Darrell, where you are part of the flyover. And I think it's shot from the top of the rudder of one of the planes. It's really dramatic.
Oh, man.
Johnny, he runs 1 lap. Even though he picked up just a little bit from practice, he is 9th quickest out of 10 cars.
Actually, we're told it was a Learjet shadowing the Air Force flyover. The camera was in the IMAX camera was in the nose of that plane. It was pretty cool. Johnny Sauter will have to be satisfied with 9th as he is one and done. Johnny Benson climbs aboard. Getting ready to go here again. 43 cars, so every driver here will start the Auto Club 500 on Sunday. Here's Michael.
Birthday boy.
Michael was 21st quickest in practice. He's competed in 15 races here in 3 different divisions, in Cup and Busch, and also in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Yeah, I think he's run more laps here than anyone. 5,400 miles he's run here.
Had a good qualifying run earlier in the Busch Series.
He has 1 top 10 start and 2 top 10 finishes in Winston Cup here.
See Michael using a little bit of brake right there.
Yeah,
picks the throttle back up.
It doesn't hurt anything. You've just got your left foot laying up there, and you're not really pushing it down enough to turn on that light, obviously, but it really isn't putting any drag in the car.
And we'll point out that on that indicator down in the lower right of the screen, there is a little bit of latency, a little bit of delay in getting the signal from the race car up and down and then onto the screen to you folks. So don't judge that as exactly being the point on the track where he's hitting the brake or the gas. There's a little bit of delay there.
Yeah. Left foot breakers, and that's what most of these guys are. They brake with their left foot. They just have it setting up there just in case.
I wish you'd look at that. 205 miles per hour off into turn 1. He was 195 into that short backstretch, Darrell.
I can't watch. I tell you, I'm glad we didn't have. I'm glad we didn't have all this information when I was driving. I bet he doesn't know he's going 205. I'm really glad Stevie didn't have all this information.
Looks like Michael's going to be a little bit slower on this lap.
Well,
he is, and he'll be 6th of 11 so far.
He'll be all right with that.
Well, California is the land of screams and dreams. We've replaced the Hollywood Hotel for the weekend with this. And here's where it's going in the kids zone with a childhood photo of Chris Myers. Budweiser pole qualifying from California Speedway. Brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. Joe Nemechek, Brendan Gaughan, fastest of the field so far. 12 of 43 drivers have had a chance at the clock. Jamie McMurray is next. Was poised for the win here last year until the last set of tires fell back a bit, and he finished 5th in his only California start so far. Woo! It brightened that up for the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, that's neat looking.
Yeah, I think this paint scheme is to help launch the $1 million birthday bash. It's a consumer promotion by their sponsor, Chevron Texaco.
I love that car. If it had some flames coming up off of it, that baby'd be right.
That's pretty right. It's 4th right now, 38.91.
Yeah. That's, oh, man, look at that left front. Oh, yow.
Got it down on the ground. Only that left front was just a smoke, and I believe he will pretty much call it quits after 1 lap. This is the same chassis. You know, Jamie McMurray basically all but had this race won a year ago, and the late race caution came out and pretty much put some guys up there that was a little better than him. This is the same chassis. This is a car they've run a lot this year that he always has some good runs in.
So McMurray is 4th behind Nemechek, Gaughan, and Newman. Trackside tonight, live from the Speed Channel stage. You're welcome to attend or buy your TV.
Brian Vickers, a couple of the West Coast guys, Eric Norris, who is actually Chuck Norris' son, and a guy that has a very interesting story, especially that's happened to him over the last couple of years, Austin Cameron, who won the Toyota Shootout back in November at Early Speedway that you were out there for, Mike.
Yeah,
Darrell was there too.
Right, a neat event. Beat Andy Santerre, who had been the class of the field until the final segment. Busch North against the NASCAR West Series, Winston West Series. Looks like Ricky Rudd and the Wood brothers have kept the lucky paint scheme on the car. They keep it genuine for Ford Service and Parts on the 21.
I wonder if Eddie still has the pink hat on from last week. Eddie Wood.
Speaking of Rickies, here's Jeannie.
Ricky, to another. It was a rocker arm that made Ricky Craven call it a day last weekend at Talladega. But I guess the beauty of racing is you can put that one race behind you, and there's always another weekend. Maybe not the fastest time during the practice session this morning, but Ricky, as you're getting yourself safely strapped in, I just want to ask you, were you able to find some speed here for qualifying?
Yeah, we did. We really did. Had a decent practice, and we bolted our last set of tires on, and they didn't work. So, you know, I'm optimistic that this will be better. And I'm really excited about the race on Sunday because historically it's been a place we've enjoyed and run well. And I better say hi to the kids back home or I'll be in trouble.
All right, you buckle up.
Thanks, Jeannie. Ricky Rudd has 1 top 5 start and 3 top 5 finishes here. First lap 39.57, well off the mark, 11th of 13.
Yeah, he's our pole holder from last week, but that thing looks a little evil this week.
Yeah, Ricky was 24th quickest in practice earlier.
Second lap does not pick up, so Rudd stands 11th.
You know, I made a mistake last week. I said that it was Ben Leslie, his crew chief's first career pole as a crew chief, but actually Ben sat on the pole at Darlington for the Southern 500 with Kurt Busch back in 2001, so kind of missed that.
All right, Dick Berggren is with the 4th fastest driver.
Yeah, and that's Jamie McMurray right now. He's looking at his time sheets. How was the car out there? We thought we saw some smoke.
Yeah, probably just the fenders rubbing on the, or the tires rubbing on the fenders. The cars travel so much at places like this. You're in the front end so soft that sometimes the tires hit the fenders.
Tell us about your autism program.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm excited that Chip and Haviland are going to participate with me. We're going to donate $42. I am, Chip is, and Haviland for every lap that I lead this season. So I think we're up somewhere around $18,000 or $20,000 so far. So it's not a lot, but hopefully if we can run well, we'll raise plenty of money by the end of the year.
And last year you led 41, and so that would be a good thing for the Autism Society. Go lead some laps on Sunday.
Yeah, I really like this racetrack, and it's really rough on the bottom right now. So I think that means that the upper groove is going to come in, and our car worked well up there last year. So pretty excited for this weekend.
Good for you. Thanks, Jamie.
That's an interesting comment, Darrell, because 2 of the quickest drivers in Busch Series qualifying said they missed the bottom of the corner down in turn 1, but yet they were very, very fast with the car up high.
I think as you look at Jamie, he was definitely bottoming out that left front, and I think that's what happens to a lot of these guys. The things just travel more than they anticipate, and it gets down on there and it upsets the car. Even though the driver's in the throttle, that thing is up there smoking in the fender, juking on the steering wheel. Don't feel good at all.
You know, one thing, guys, I don't know that these crew chiefs and these teams anticipated, but I've been watching our 3 flags here between pit road and the front stretch, and I believe that wind is getting stronger. I mean, those flags are almost standing straight out like a piece of plywood. I think the track temperature has actually come down just a little bit. Not a lot, but the wind, I think, it's actually getting stronger.
And I know we talked about Morgan at Martinsville, and he did a good job up in Martinsville. He's 13th quick out of 14, but look at that. That's a decent time for for an independent guy that's probably got the same engine he had in at Martinsville.
Yep. The Boyles equipment, John Deere Dodge. Morgan Shepherd, 62 years old, trying to make the show for the 3rd time at California. "14 of 43 drivers have had their runs at the clock." I mentioned Morgan Shepherd was trying to make the show. He'll make the show. All 43 drivers here will start the Auto Club 500 on Sunday. Here is Kevin Harvick, and his home track has not been good to him in Cup competition. He does not have a top 10 start or a top 20 finish here so far. So here's the Goodwrench Chevrolet out for its qualifying stroll.
Kevin was 17th quickest in practice. And Mike, it's funny you mentioned home track. You know, it was not that many years ago when you thought about a NASCAR Cup driver that they were pretty much from the southeast. There, into Sunday's race, there will be 8 drivers that are from the state of California running in this race.
Ooh, that thing's a little dookie.
The car looked really nervous to get settled down in the corner, didn't it?
You heard Jamie say they run them so soft that when that thing gets down there and hits the turn, hits that banking, man, they travel about 3 inches, and those tires go right up in there and hit the top of the fenders, and that really disturbs the driver.
9th fastest at a 39.15 on his first lap.
Yeah, you're running almost 200 or over 200 miles per hour. You see smoke start bellowing out the wheel tubs. You get a little nervous.
Well, you feel it. you feel it in the steering wheel, and when the tires are rubbing like that, it's sending a bad message back to the driver.
Pretty much as we've seen with everyone. There's his first lap right there.
Thing can't get in the corner at all. He's just going to pack it in.
You'll note on the side the little number 3 next to the good wrench, between the good wrench and the 29, memorializing Dale Earnhardt. Yesterday was Dale Earnhardt Day up in Mooresville, North Carolina. The behind-the-scenes area of DEI open to the public, and a big celebration yesterday in Mooresville on what would have been Dale Earnhardt's birthday. Several thousand folks turned out.
That's cool.
Teresa Earnhardt
with a faithful replica right down to the crack of the Liberty Bell.
That was cool.
Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson among those yet to qualify. Jimmy's fiance sitting with them on the pit wall as Brian Vickers, the fastest man in practice, comes out. The quickest man right now is Joe Nemechek with a 38.55. The track record is 38.41. Will it fall? Will this be the man?
He was holding right here till he came off turn 2, but it's like the car may have pushed just a little bit on the exit of turn 2.
I think it may have pushed a little bit. That's where the headwind is too, and those flags are standing pretty straight right now at that wind blowing down the back straightaway.
Starting to come back just a little bit.
He'll get the push down the front. We'll see if it's enough.
You got a headwind.
There he comes.
To slow you down the backstretch, a tailwind to speed you up down the front stretch. Does that equal out?
Not quite for him.
No, because I think that headwind down the backstretch also affects you over in turn 2, like we talked earlier as well. He's going to be third quickest on that first lap, though, 38.75.
The other reason he may have pushed up a little bit down in turn 1, Larry, he was 2:07 entering turn 1.
Wow.
Same car that he qualified on the outside pole with a couple of months ago down in Atlanta, and as you mentioned earlier, he's going to be one of our guests on trackside tonight.
The Ditech.com Chevy. Checker for the second lap, and it's going to be right on top of the first. A couple of thousandths apart.
He's had some good runs here of late. Back at Texas, Martinsville had a good run going at Talladega last week, and of course spun out there. That what brought that last caution out.
You know what I like, Larry? I mean, back in, no, it hadn't been all that long ago, a backup car was just something you threw on the truck to take with you. And it'd be a show car even, it could be. These guys roll these backup cars out today. They are ready to race.
You know, when I think that really made a turn was back in, I think, 2001 at the beginning of the Winston All-Star race when Jeff Gordon and that group wrecked on that first lap down there. NASCAR, since it was not a points event, allowed those guys to unload a backup car, and he won the race.
It's a lot of work. You got to get 2 cars ready to go, but man, sometimes it pays off big time.
Johnny Benson, the Miccosukee Indian Gaming Dodge. James Finch started 5th here for Roush Racing in 1998. Finished 8th, his only top 10 Cup finish here.
You know, talking about backup cars, I go back to last year, Matt Kenseth, when he wrecked, I think it was at Kansas. Those guys were not as prepared with a backup car as they probably should have been, and it just about bit them the tail end of last year. Johnny had a good qualifying run, Johnny Benson, earlier in the Busch Series qualifying. And, Johnny actually won a Winston Western race here several years ago. And this is actually Joe Ruttman. I'm sorry, I'm thinking this. No, this is Johnny Benson. I'm sorry. We'll get it straight in a minute.
As long as it's not Jeff Green, as long as I don't do that again.
Well, did you know?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of y'all for not calling this the Statler Brothers 300 too.
No, yeah, tomorrow's the Stater Brothers.
Stater Brothers
300.
Stater Brothers, a big chain of supermarkets out here.
Johnny B, 13th, 39.49. Did you know? Joe Nemechek, rookie Brendan Gaughan, and Brian Vickers, Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray, Elliott Sadler, Gordon, Walter, Mayfield, and Harvick, the top 10 after 17 drivers have qualified. Dick Bergman.
With Brian Vickers, our clocks had you going into the first turn at 207 miles an hour. What's that feel like here?
Feels pretty good. I like it.
That's youth for you.
Yeah, the problem was the front tires didn't think it felt as good as I thought it felt. and they didn't stay with me. But, you know, I think we was just pushing them to the limit. A lot of it, too, was the skirts. You know, I think we just picked up a lot of speed down the front stretch. I came off 4 good. I don't know if it was the wind or what it was, and carried a bunch of speed off in 1, and the skirts drug, and that made it push some too, and the front end just washed out, and that's what really killed our lap down in 1 and 2.
Want to hear the definition of pressure? After this guy finished his first lap, he heard in his ear on the radio, third. Go a little faster.
I know. I tried that second lap, and I mean, you know, all it had, but it just, you know, it's hard to pick up, you know. The first lap's always quicker. You know, it seems like here with these tires and these cars these days, but, you know, we gave it a shot. I guess it's just not meant to be yet. Maybe we'll get one soon.
Not today, but your day will come.
Another California kid on the track, Robbie Gordon, 39.15 for the singular wireless Chevy. That puts him 10th fastest so far.
Brian Vickers is a good little qualifier now.
Oh, yeah.
He stepped in that car last year, and he set her up there in the first 2 or 3 rows every week.
Hey, Robbie has been a busy man. He's still going to be even more busy. He tested the Cup car at Michigan last week. Earlier this week, he was at Indy testing his Indy car. Comes here and races for 3 days in both series. And when he leaves here, headed for our off weekend next weekend, he's going to go down to Mexico, test his trophy truck and his sand car. And I have no idea what a sand car is.
Sounds like he has nothing to do.
I had a sand box one time.
Robbie Gordon is 10th. Jeannie?
Yes, I do. Hanging out with Michael McSwain, just talking about the California sunshine. And Larry Mack was saying earlier, he's wondering if the crew chiefs are noticing the flags blowing around here. I think it's safe to say you spotted them, yes?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a constant change all day. Wind going this way, then wind going that way. Track temp going up, track temp going down. We'll probably make at least one more change before we get to the end of this line.
Interesting. You did it. A couple other teams went up to the Bay Area to test before coming to California. How do you switch gears? That is such a different place.
Yeah, and that's the big reason we go up there, so we can get our heads going for road course racing, get the driver ready for road course racing, and try to get ready before we have to go back to really race.
All right, anything else you want to say? Final comments?
Yeah, I want to say all my hearts and prayers for me and my family go out to Charlie and Robert Presley and the whole Presley family. We miss all y'all, and we love you.
I think that was wonderful, and I think it was well said. He speaks on behalf of everybody at Fox as well. Guys?
Bob Presley, the father of Busch driver Robert Presley, passed away this week after an illness, and he's going to be missed by all the NASCAR community. Great competitor in the late model sportsman, which evolved into the NASCAR Busch Series.
Yeah, Fatback worked with Robert. I think that's where actually he got his big league start, was working with Robert.
Ricky Craven, who won the Winston West race here in 1999, has one top 10 finish here, came in 97, 9th place.
We've been talking about all the drivers that hail from California. Ricky's car owner, Cal Wells, is from nearby Pomona, California. This group just trying so diligently. You can see right there, he's got his hands full. He's on his second lap as he runs 39.50, which puts him 15th quickest. This group in 2004, their best start, 17th, and their best finish of all places at Martinsville, 16th. Just can't get their arms around this package this year.
Yeah, you just heard good job, but they wasn't talking about qualifying 15th. They was talking about saving that.
Hanging on.
Good save. Joe Nemechek and Brendan Gaughan quickest as Bud Bowl qualifying continues. Welcome back to California. Great sun, warm temperatures, great scenery, and right now Joe Nemechek is our fastest qualifier, 38.55, and that's only 14/100ths off of the track record held by Ryan Newman. Warren Burton, his best finish this year, 9th at Rockingham. He has one top 5 start, 2 top 10 finishes here at California. Our next qualifier in the Net Zero Chevrolet.
He was 26th quickest in practice earlier at 39.41.
It's not unusual to see guys on their warm-up lap or they're coming to get the green lap going into turn 3 wiggle a little bit. Your own sticker tires. And sometimes it takes that whole corner, turns 3 and 4, to get the tires kind of buffed in and up to temperature. You don't want to see that on your green flag lap, though.
Ward had a great run going at Talladega last week, and they had an overheating problem, as a lot of cars in both series did. Busch and Nextel Cup.
Now he's holding a pretty wheel right there. He's got her down in there nice and low on the white line, and picked the throttle back up. Pretty decent looking little, at that end of the racetrack, it looked good.
It'll be a good lap, I believe, for Ward.
7th, 39 flat.
207 miles per hour, that old Hendrick motor getting off into turn 1.
And that's within us. That'd be like saying you hit a drive 350 yards right now, because you got a great big tailwind down this front, so you're going to see some front straightaway speed, and it's a long way from turn 4 down to turn 1.
Not as quick on his second lap. You see on the Fox tracker, back into the throttle. Probably going to be about half a second slower here. Falls off on the second lap, so Ward Burton right now stands 7th. After Sunday at Talladega, there'll be no shortage of things to talk about tomorrow night when Pitbull airs from Fontana. I've been reading the ink from Ben Blake, David Poole, Mike Mulhern, and Marty Smith this week. Pack them all up into cans, seal it, send it somewhere. But they're going to send it to the speed stage, and they'll be on Pitbull. You'll enjoy it.
I just wish they would stick to the subject. And so far I've watched this show, I don't know what the subject is, because I never have heard them stick to the subject.
Jimmy Johnson, who had a tough day at the office this morning here at Fontana. Saw the car there get loose.
Yeah, the back end just started out and right in the middle of the corner, right when you're wide open, and there's no saving that.
Was able to drive it in. As you notice down here, we have no tracker. It's because this is the backup car, and they were not able to install the GPS in it. But as long as the rule is, that happened before qualifying, as long as they have presented this car with the engine that he's going to race on Sunday, he will be able to start where he qualifies.
All right, so let's see. The throttle is here, and the brake is here, and the Fox tracker is here, and he's that fast. Okay. Artie Kempner asked for that.
Tell you what, it looks like a pretty good lap here with this backup car.
And let me see. As he goes down into turn 1, he's going to be going to 2:010.
2:010? Well, he's 10th quickest on his first lap at a 39:08.
So he's 10th fastest at 2:010. Is that when your contract expires, 2:010?
I hope so.
Right. Me too.
I'll be 62. That's a good time to quit.
Of course, Jimmy got his first career victory here 2 years ago. Won here in his Rookie of the Year.
Kyle Petty, whose charity ride begins this weekend from Palm Springs and ends at the Victory Junction Gang Camp Mother's Day weekend. Welcome back to Fontana, where Joe Nemechek, Brendan Gaughan, Brian Vickers, Ryan Newman are the Fast Four. Kurt Busch in the Irwin Tools Ford really sailed it off into turns 1 and 2 and had to that point what looked like a pole winning run. Then it tailed off coming out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
I think most of these guys are just overdriving turn 1. They got that tailwind. They're really getting down in there with way too much speed. Can't make the turn.
Kurt was 3rd quickest in practice. He's the defending champion of this race. Won here a year ago. This is actually the same chassis as he won with here.
2 years ago, he led the most laps, but lost to Jimmy Johnson in the closing stages of the race.
Don't think he'll be very happy with that qualifying run right there. Maybe he will adapt a little bit on this second lap. Looking a little bit better here, but now she's starting to go that way.
That race that Jimmy Johnson beat him, Chad beat him that day. Chad Knaus.
Good call.
Brought that thing in, socked a little fuel in it, got him out front, won the race.
had such a solid season going and then kind of hit the wall last week, was involved in that big wreck in 3 and 4 at Talladega. And that was his first finish in 2004 that was worse than 16th. Pretty good qualifying run, though. He picks it up a little bit after recovering from that first lap. He's going to be 12th quickest, 39.09. Considering what it looked like on that first lap, looks a little better now.
Yep. Gained 2 spots on that second lap. Jeannie?
Well, Mike, you alluded to it earlier. Kyle Petty has an important couple of things to do here before the journey begins, but let's talk about what's going to happen in the off weekend.
We're going to do our Chick-fil-A Kyle Petty Charity Ride Across America. This is our 10th year. We're really excited about it. Georgia Pacific gave up some space on their car here, so we've got our Chick-fil-A Charity Ride car out here. But this is our major fundraiser for the Victory Junction Gang Camp, and it'll become every year. This is what will go to help us raise the additional $2 to $3 million a year to keep the camp up and running. That's wonderful. Let's talk about these couple of laps. What do you think? You know, I really don't know because we didn't do any qualifying runs. This is the first time that we're going out under qualifying conditions. We got here, there were only 43 cars. We ran better the first part of the year just doing nothing but race runs at Vegas or Atlanta and places like that to get a little bit of a leg up on people. So all day long we just did race stuff. So to get a leg up on tomorrow morning's practice and hopefully on Sunday. All right, good guy with a big heart. Let's see if the engine comes up as big, guys.
We'll see. Here's
it's a brand new race car, untested too. No track testing whatsoever. They went on the racetrack earlier this morning with that 45 car.
Terry Labonte, the Kellogg's Got Milk Chevrolet. His son Justin will be racing the Busch race here tomorrow. See how Terry fares. He was the runner-up in the inaugural here in 1997 and has 3 top 10 starts here. First lap is 15th fastest to 39.27.
Picks up quite a bit from practice. He was 32nd quickest in practice at a 39.75.
He's one that pretty consistently we see picking up a lot from practice. Not sure why or what accounts for that, but Terry can turn it up when it comes to qualifying.
Well, the veterans only do it when they have to.
Is that
it? When they can. That's right. You don't win practice, it doesn't pay anything. You do it when you have to.
Looks like this lap's going to be a little bit slower than his first lap. See right there where he was on the first lap.
Always tell them in practice, don't worry about the mule going blind, just load the wagon and hold the lines.
Slows down about a 10th on lap 2, so right now Terry will be 15th quickest.
Scott Wimmer among those getting ready to qualify. Matt Kenseth, the defending Cup champion, comes out. Last week, he got caught up in it.
Well, that's some really good driving on a lot of guys' parts, including the guys that were in the spins.
Darrell, that's a lot of luck, too.
Yeah, I guess it is, but by the same token, you don't give up. A lot of times you lock her down and hang on, but looked like they were doing a lot of driving to me. Backwards, sideways. Didn't hit anything.
Matt was 22nd quickest in practice. This is a brand new car. They actually went up to Kentucky a few weeks ago to try to test this car. They got about 3 or 4 laps in, and the rain came, and they pretty much had to end that test.
Look at this. Oops, look at that. Fox Tracker was up to 4 and 5.
But you know what happened was as he come off a turn 2 over there, and I'm not sure it's not a product of the wind, but he got pushed up high and probably even had to get up out of the throttle.
Matt has never had a start here better than 20th. 4 appearances.
Well, that's right along his average. You know?
Always finishes good, though. Finished 3rd in 2000 here. Led a lot of that race. Finished 9th last year. When you think about the Busch Series here, he's won 3 Busch races here out of 7. And I think he's not started all 7 races.
He can't keep the car down in turn 2. Down there, he gets in high, car takes off, no front grip.
15th quickest on his first lap at a 39.16.
He's one and done, buddy. She's a plow and she's pushing like a dump truck.
Did you ever drive a dump truck?
I did. Actually, yeah, when I was a kid, I drove a coal truck for GT O'Brien in Owensboro, Kentucky.
That's working for a living.
I wished I'd have driven one. That way I might understand what that driver was trying to tell me for 20-something years. It's pushing like a dump truck. I had no idea what that meant.
Well, when you got all those tires in the back and you got 2 little bitty ones in the front, it's easy to make it push like a dump truck.
Something the young drivers would not understand. Mark Martin talks about the young guns in NASCAR.
What I love about the sport right now is the opportunity that the young drivers are getting. And I'm a race fan at heart and always will be. And I think that we have so much excitement coming the next 10 years with these young guys. There's some young guys in their teens, early teens, actually, that are so incredible. And I look so forward to seeing them out on the racetrack in the future.
His son Matt could be one of them. Here's Mark's record in California.
And the unique thing about that, one of those top 10 finishes is one of those DNFs. He ran out of fuel on the last lap, did not complete the race, and still finished 10th.
Mark also won 2 IROC races here at California Speedway.
Pretty solid in practice, 11th quickest. Great run at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. Finished 6th at Talladega. Had a good run at Martinsville. Had the fuel line issue, but a couple of good runs last couple of weeks for Martin in 6th group.
First lap for the Viagra Ford, 16th, a 39.17, and right on top of what his teammate Matt Kenseth ran.
That's exactly what he ran in practice, basically.
That race he won here, Larry, he led 165 laps back there in 1998.
In fact, all of the Roush cars right now have qualified within about 0.2 of a second of one another. Joe Nemechek and Brendan Gaughan are fastest so far. Welcome back to Fontana. Joe Nemechek is fastest and has been for most of this session. He was one of the first cars to go out as Casey Kane. Ray Evernham Dodge Dealers Dodge comes out. Second at Rockingham, Las Vegas and Texas. Third at Atlanta. Finished 4th here in the Busch race last year.
And a lot of people are predicting that he'll get his first win here on Sunday. I've heard that from a number of people, that they just think this is going to be his race.
And I'd say the racetracks, as we watch his car on Ray Evernham, some of the racetracks he's ran so well at this year, like Las Vegas, Texas, places like that, I'd say they could be on the mark in predicting that. And I think I heard someone earlier talking about the week that a lot of these teams went through, including this Ray Evernham number 9 team. They raced Talladega on Sunday. They loaded up and went and tested at Sonoma on the road course earlier in the week, and then had to be here yesterday.
Well, I like what I'm seeing right now, Larry. That thing is getting down in the corner good. It's sticking to the bottom. He's back in the throttle. This looks like a pretty decent lap to me.
Yeah, he was second quickest in practice. Looks pretty good. He got it. 38.51. He's on the pole right now.
Look at Ray. All right, Ray.
Beating Joe Nemechek by 4/100ths of a second.
He'll definitely be one and done.
Well, you know, just the way that car has run this year, and this racetrack, I think Ray's got a good setup for here. Obviously, the team does, and Tommy Baldwin and everybody. And Casey this is his kind of racetrack.
One young ex-open wheeler, Jason Leffler, is on the pole for the Busch race, and another has just set the fastest time in Nextel Cup.
This is the same car that he set on the pole with at Las Vegas a couple of months ago.
I was listening on the scanner, Larry. If it's pushing, change the right rear spring. If it's loose, change the right rear spring. All they work on is the right rear spring.
Whatever they worked on, it worked.
Seeing right rear springs I never saw in my lifetime as a crew chief.
Three rookies have 3 of the 4 fastest speeds, led by this man, Casey Kane. Dick Berggren.
With Casey Kane, you were second quick in practice, faster than you were in practice in your qualifying lap. But I was listening on the radio, and you said the red light came on. What happened?
We gained more speed. I mean, the red light's 100 RPMs before the chip, so we got to it, so that's good. That's a good thing.
I like that smile. You're a happy guy, aren't you?
Oh, really happy. You know, these guys work hard, and they do a great job. The engine shop's building us awesome engines, and you know, all the Dodge dealers, UAW, everybody out there that supports us. it's pretty cool to, you know, we're not on it for sure, but we're pretty close. That's a pretty good lap.
Looks good right now. Jeannie?
Catching up with Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I don't know how you follow up the finish to Talladega, but we do find ourselves here at another racetrack. Thoughts, reflections as you look back to what happened on Sunday?
Just a fun race, a wild day, wild ending, and a lot of excitement, and it was pretty cool. I really had a good time, and looking back on it, it'll be a good story to tell to all my grandkids if I ever have any. But you know, just hopefully we can come here and get the win that got away from us there, and try to keep on building on that points lead. I do want to say hey to a friend of mine, Sarah Denayer, and the Nayer family. She's very ill right now, and we just all want to pray for her. But a friend of mine, his wife. But it was a wild day on Sunday, and I wouldn't expect anything less from all my fans there in Alabama. It was great.
All right, you know, my head says I should talk about your car here and how you're going to qualify, but forget that. Let's talk about, where do you rank among the 50 most beautiful people? I know, Tony, your senior was saying he's 51st, but where did you come in?
They put me in 13th. I think there was a miscount or something. I don't even know.
Let's get a tight shot of the mug. Number 13 here.
On the list, so that just tells you how crazy this world is we're living in when something like that happens. So we ought to be looking for a meteor shower here sometime soon.
All right, but you're beautiful inside too, and that's what's most important, right?
Well, hey, you know, I do what I can. We just have a lot of fun and try to win races and try to make sense out of all this. It's crazy.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
That was the People magazine survey, subtitled "The 50 People Most Likely to Sell Copies of This Magazine."
You know, that was interesting what Casey Kane was talking about, Darrell. I don't know that I've ever heard of that being used, where they've got a red light that comes on 100 RPMs before the rev limiter chip kicks in. That's it's pretty interesting.
No, I've had them for, you know, you got your foot on the brake. I've had a brake light on my dash before because, like I said, subconsciously, sometimes you put the brake on. I've had an oil pressure light on my dash before to tell me when I was losing pressure. But that RPM thing is kind of a new deal. I see it on the IRL and Indy cars. I guess that's where it comes from.
I like that. It's a neat idea.
I think it's pretty cool. One thing I'll say about Casey's run, I see Sammy Johns down there floating around quite a bit, as if you know, I don't know what he had to do with that. Sammy's works for Ray. He was Jeremy's crew chief for a while, but it's good to see him down there because he must have had something to do with it. He seemed pretty happy.
Well, he looks after Bill Elliott's car when Bill actually races, but I think Sammy's kind of the go-between those two race teams, making sure all the information's being shared.
Bobby Labonte, 2:05 as he hauled it off into turn number 1. First lap for the Interstate Chevy, 39.23, 18 faster.
It's about exactly what Bobby ran in practice. This is the same car that he set on pole with at Texas, and the chassis that he won Homestead with the last race of last year.
Going to pick it up a little on lap 2, looks like. Yep, 5 100s.
Bobby had a good solid run last week at Talladega, finished 10th and finally moved in the top 10 in points.
Car number 18 runs a 39.18 and stands 18th.
18th.
And last week, Larry, he rode around the back all day long. He and Dale Jarrett particularly. And at the end of the day, when it's time to go, there he was.
Tomorrow, final practice on FX and the NASCAR Busch Series Stater Brothers 300 on Fox. Sunday, the Auto Club 500 presented by Visa on Fox, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and right back here to Speed Channel for Speed News beginning at 7 and NASCAR Victory Lane. Casey Kane, fastest so far at a 38.51. And we've now gotten within 1/10 of a second of the track record held by Ryan Newman. The American Chevy. Stan Bear, the next qualifier. He was quoted in one of the papers, I think USA Today was quoted in the sports section. They're talking about the Kentucky Derby, which runs this weekend, and that the jockeys have received approval to run sponsorship patches on their sills. An idea that, wonder where they got that idea. And I guess that's an idea whose time has come.
Well, you know, people used to laugh at us in other sports, football, everywhere. They used to laugh at us for all of our stickers, our decals, our hats, the things that we did to sustain ourselves. looks to me like they learned from that.
Do you reckon they run the little red light on top of the horse's head before they get to the rev limiter, Chip?
Probably more in the back.
Did you know?
Stanton trying to redeem himself here in Cup qualifying. Stanton was one of 4 cars that missed the Busch show, and right now in the first lap he's going to be 28th quickest out of the 28 cars. You know, a lot of people don't know that much about Stanton Barrett, but he's actually a Hollywood stuntman. In fact, this year alone, he is nominated for 2 National Stunt Awards. And his dad, Stan Barrett, they call him the Rocket Man. How fast did he run in that rocket car at the Bonneville Sauce Class?
600 and something, I think it was. Broke the sound barrier.
It was pretty darn fast. Stan Barrett used to, try to think of who he doubled. Burt Reynolds, didn't he?
Yep.
For many years.
Well, he started the Skull Bandit. You know, that's how the Skull Bandit hit Burt Reynolds. And,
he was the first driver.
Al Needham and that crowd all come down. They want to get into racing, and Stan drove the car. Travis Carter was the crew chief.
Back in 1981.
Operator, please connect me to 1982.
A lot of haze beginning to come across the mountains here in California. It's Mount Baldy off in the distance, just north of here.
It's good when you can see the mountains, you know.
It's a pretty sight.
Yeah.
Who's next? Dick Berggren.
Has he got purple hair? He's got purple hair.
He does have purple hair. Bergie.
I'm just trying to fit in. It's California, right?
What have they done to you down there?
So, you know, just being a little cool here in California, man.
So I think if you got purple hair and you put that guy's hat on that we talked to you back in Busch qualifying, you'll be right.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. There's a skateboard over here. I was about to take lessons and see how that goes.
Dick, was excessive partying involved in that?
No, not yet, but it's probably coming tonight if I can't get this purple out.
I certainly hope so.
Was brain failure involved?
Just trying to fit in, that's all. Just trying to fit in.
All right, the Chick-fil-A Kyle Petty charity ride is up next. Not V-twin powered, not this one. This one is a Petty Dodge. As Kyle mentioned, Georgia Pacific giving up some space on the car to help promote the charity ride, which benefits the Victory Junction Gang Camp that opens this June. First lap 21st at a 39.36.
He was 39th quickest in practice, but you heard Kyle talk when they figured out there was only 43 cars here. They decided they would just kind of put it in race trim and not really worry too much about qualifying. So I could say consider that pretty respectable qualifying run. Looks like he may really be picking it up on his second lap possibly.
Well, if you had a race setup in the car, that's what you would expect, to get a little quicker every lap for a while.
Going to improve a couple of spots here, it looks like, and be very solidly in the show. He does. He jumps to 19th with a 39.23.
That's what's funny about those mountains is a lot of times you're out here, you never see them.
Yeah, with a lot of haze and smog, they're difficult to spot, but we'll keep looking. We'll be right back. Scott Wimmer, the Bill Davis Caterpillar Dodge, another rookie contender. Right now, there are 3 rookies in the first 4 positions.
And then you throw Ryan up there, Jamie McMurray. I mean, they're only in their second, third year, so a lot of young guys.
Wimmer out of Wisconsin, like Dave Marcus, of course, all of the Sodders, and the most recent Cup champion, Matt Kenseth.
I was 18 years old, Matt was about 21, 22, and raced with him for a few years. He was always a step above me, so being from Wisconsin and being a driver from there, it was great because I kind of followed Matt's career. He went to ASA, I eventually moved to ASA, he went to Busch, I moved to Busch, and it's kind of funny on how our careers have gone the same way that they have.
First lap for Wimmer, 40.17, 28th of 30.
Yeah, they kind of struggled in practice. They were only 34th quickest. Of course, this is his first Nextel Cup start here. Has several Busch Series starts here. You know, we were talking about this speedway earlier, and Darrell talked about the safer barriers. So many improvements, even though we've only been here for 7 years. They've added the lights. Of course, this is the racetrack that got the second date. We'll be coming back here Labor Day weekend, and they're going to start it somewhat in the twilight. You know, when this speedway was originally built 7 to 8 years ago, the cost to build this speedway was $120 million, and they continue to spend a lot of money making improvements at this speedway.
I think what I find most interesting about this track, as Wimmer's second lap is slower, is that it is built on, oh gosh, I can't think of the term. It's brown something land, but it is land reclaimed from operations environmentally deemed somewhat hazardous. This was the Kaiser steel mill plant, and so it's unsuitable for conversion to, this land was unsuitable for conversion to either homes or other light commercial or business uses. So by putting a racetrack over it, by essentially sealing the ground underneath and building a racetrack, that was deemed an appropriate use. And now International Speedway Corp, which owns this track, is now looking at potential, I think the word is brownfield sites in the New York City area as having a potential development for a speedway.
And during World War II, that mill put out enough steel to put out one Liberty ship, build one Liberty ship per day.
Wow. It's incredible.
Looking right here, Scott Riggs in this 10 car. Remember, he was one of the guys we talked about in early going. He was 8th quickest in practice.
Well, 2 weeks in a row. Wimmer had a great qualifying effort, started 5th last week at Talladega. Dick?
And do you know why Kaiser built the steel mill here instead of someplace else?
Well,
the answer is that they figured out how far a Japanese sub could fire a rocket. And they wanted to have the steel mill far enough inland that no matter what they did, they weren't going to be able to hit that steel mill. And this is far enough inland. True story.
Scott Riggs, 3rd fastest, 38.67. And he's backed out of it, but I don't know. He was up there on what could have been a pole run up into the middle of turn 1 and 2, and then backed off it.
I'm telling you, this kid is going to step up before this year's over with. He's getting better every week, and I tell you, watch out for him. We
knew he was good, and we're starting to see how good. Darrell, what's up with this? 4 of the 5 fastest drivers are rookies.
This is what we said in the opening. They don't. Everybody comes here on equal footing. We haven't run a lot of races here. It's a speedway where you can hammer it. I mean, if you want to drive it down into turn 1 at 207 or 210 or whatever, you can do it here if you have the talent. Let's just say that.
They have the talent. Here's Jeannie.
And I have Jeff Green hanging with me here. Is it good for you to hang back here and wait to go later in qualifying, or does it drive you nuts and you're overthinking everything?
Well, I think it could get to you if you let it get to you. I don't worry about anything. I just got to go out there and do my job for my Cheerios guys and do the best job we can. They've got a pretty good race car here, so we're just going to try to take care of that. See what we got here for them. I don't think any of us going to get up there where the 9 or the 01 is, but we're going to give it a shot. Just get us a good start. We was 15th in practice. Hopefully we can build on that a little bit and get a little bit closer to the front. If we can do that, we'll have a good day.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I have something I want to put a period on a story that we told a while ago. On Stanton Barrett, his dad, Stan Barrett, drove the rocket car in December of 1979 at Edwards Air Force Base in excess of Mach 1 at 746 miles per hour.
I knew it was over 600.
Sure makes 207 look kind of light, doesn't it? Of course, there wasn't a corner and a wall at the end of that straightaway.
And that's how they came up with the name of that race team, Mach 1 Motorsports. That information comes from Matt Yoakum, who instead of being on pit road reporting, is in our production truck, aggravating those people.
Oh, look at Spence.
Jimmy Spencer.
Hey, Spence.
15th with a 39.11 in the Morgan McClure Chevrolet.
Who let the dogs out?
Scott Riggs climbing out after a great run. He's 3rd fastest. Big day for the rookies. Casey Kane 1st, Scott Riggs 3rd, Brendan Gaughan 4th, Ryan Vickers 5th. Dick Bergman.
And last week in Talladega, Scott Riggs qualified 5th. That had been his best ever qualifying effort in Nextel Cup racing. 3rd so far today. Things are on track, are they not?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I've been telling everybody that all these guys in this Valvoline Chevrolet is working. They're working awful hard. All the guys back in the shop building great race cars. And, you know, the reason we brought this car wasn't because it was, you know, a car that feels good. It was because a car that has the best. It's the newest car that we had. It's actually a car I ran at Martinsville. And every time they build a new body, it's better and better. So this is the newest one they built, and that's why we brought it. And, you know, things are just slowly but surely getting better and better. And I told everyone that we're learning by leaps and bounds and getting better. And I'm glad to see that it's starting to show, and I'll be glad when we see some finishes and results that they're starting to show just how good all these guys in the Valvoline Chevrolet are.
Better and better is the road to winning races. Right?
New patriotic paint job for Rusty Wallace. They have a campaign out where you can vote for the president of Beers. They want to be the president of Beers, so new Miller paint job for Rusty this week, who was kind of voted president of Martinsville a couple weeks ago. Apologies to Clay Campbell, but it was Rusty who took home the clock 2 weeks ago. And look at this. There's the Fox Tracker right up where it needs to be, as Rusty's first lap is 7th.
He was 9th quickest in practice, and of all the drivers that have competed in all 7 races here, he has the best average start of all of them.
And again, Darrell, real fast in 1 and 2, but
yeah, you just can't get off of 2 over there. And that's the same thing you see in the race. One thing I like about this racetrack in the past, last year particularly, some guys like to run the bottom in 1 and 2, and guys during the race got all the way out against the outside retaining wall in 1 and 2. That's a hard turn to get off of over there. There's not a lot of grip when you exit that corner.
So Rusty will be 7th. His lap is almost identical to Ryan Newman's. Only about 4/100ths of a second difference. 33 of 43 drivers have made their runs. 10 to go. All 43 will start. Casey Kane quickest at 186.9 miles an hour. Derek Cope, the Arnold Development Dodge, be our next qualifier.
Mike Hillman's a crew chief, and I'll tell you, runs they've had a couple of good runs. Darlington comes to mind. They've been doing a pretty decent job of this car there.
Where they really had a good run was earlier this month back at Texas, where he was running up in the top 10, and then they ran out of fuel, and the bottom kind of ran out there. This is the same car. First time this year that they've actually had a sponsor on the side of this car. Right now it's a one-race deal, kind of a local winery, Bennett Lane Winery, on the side of that car.
You sell their wine in your store back in Concord, North Carolina?
Don't.
Not yet?
Carrying that one. Not yet.
I'll bet I can get you a deal.
I saw on Bobby Gill's Hooters Cup car that they ran over at Concord the other night. His sponsor was the wine room.
That's it.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
You know, I put 2 and 2 together, and I said that looks like a Larry Mack deal.
It's not me. I have to confess. Mark Reno and myself, we have nothing to do with that. It's our wives, Linda McReynolds and Terry Reno. It's all there.
And now that America's found out you're capable of sponsoring race cars, are you going to get some mail?
No, Linda's capable of sponsoring race cars.
All I know is he won the race.
Derek Cope, this wine has a nice bouquet, but it's 29th, so it may be not quite be its time. 39.57.
See, I always called the wine room the front of our trailer after a race, listening to the driver.
I thought that was your motor coach. Was the wine
well,
room.
You grew up in the same era that I did. We had wine for dinner, not with dinner.
So this is real wine. It comes with a cork.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not a twist off top.
Yeah. We've been to Chateau Screw Top. All right, Derek's run is 39.57. We're going to have to go find the Bennett Lane Winery, maybe after trackside tonight.
We'll probably be ready to after that.
I think so.
That and pit bulls. That'll drive you.
Oh, that'll drive. Yes, it won't it. Meanwhile, Casey Mears will be our next qualifier in the Target Dodge, and this is a home game for Casey.
Also for his crew chief, Jimmy Elledge. He's from nearby Redding, California.
That's right. Qualified 17th here last year, but he finished 4th in a 500-mile race here in 2000 in a kart Indy car.
Driving for Bobby Rahal. Hey, this little old group really starting to come on here. Had another good run at Talladega last week, finished 8th, led some laps.
Casey Kane signing everything. He'd like to sign that check for the Budweiser pole.
I believe he'll sign his name once and look at the board. Sign his name once, look at the board.
Sounds like a plan.
Casey was 23rd quickest in practice. Casey Mears in a 41 car. Same car that he led a bunch of laps at Atlanta before they had engine trouble a couple of months ago. It's going to be a pretty solid run for Casey.
It looks like a good lap. The car's real smooth. He's not fighting with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's competed in kart, Indy Lights, Busch, and now Nextel Cup here.
9th fastest.
Good job, buddy.
38.95.
It's amazing sometimes what these cars will do with a good tune-up. You know, they put all the fluids in them, knock a little timing in them, put fresh tires on them. You sometimes surprise yourself.
And there you can see what happened to the Fox Tracker. Fast into turn 1, but slow off turn 2. That's been a repeating story this afternoon.
What amazes me, though, is he really wiggles coming off turn 4 is 165 miles per hour in the middle of 3 and 4 off the throttle. What little you're off the throttle here. He'll sign. There he goes.
Look.
sign again.
Safe.
It's a good thing to occupy his time, sign all these autographs. Makes the time go by quicker.
And his signature is actually legible.
Yes.
Which is highly unusual.
Thank you.
Let's see, is it still legible? Yes, it is. You can read it.
Thank you, Casey.
Number 9. From K. Kane to K. Shell. Kirk Shelmerdine, who, as we mentioned, is out of provisionals, but with the 43 car field, provisionals are not charged, and all drivers will not.
And you actually saw that graphic where he qualified 43rd at Martinsville. When qualifying was over, that's where NASCAR determined he had qualified for that race. And as they got the check in the provisional status, he was out of provisional, so he's actually missed the last 2 races. But I just don't think what people realize this guy's trying to do right here. I mean, you look at a Hendrick Motorsports, the shop where the 24 and the 48 team are housed. They were telling me this morning 75 employees in that one race shop alone. I talked to Kurt this morning, actually flew out here with Kurt yesterday. He has 2 part-time, full-time employees and a lot of volunteer help that sometimes they come by, sometimes they don't.
Hey, clarify, you didn't fly out here on the clear jet?
No, we were on Delta Airlines.
Kirk Shelmerdine trying to make it against the odds. First lap 41.33. Jeannie?
Catching up with Kenny Schrader, and we're sitting in the back row waiting for everything to unfold in front of us. And what do you think about all these kids putting up these times?
Those kids have been fast all year long. You know, no reason to think they're not going to be fast out here this week. But we had a decent car practice and try to make it a little better. We got a new sponsor on here today, so we got to do good for AXA Financial Service on this car. So we'll see.
All right, sir. Best of luck.
I think Schrader's run in just about everything here but IRL as well.
Yeah, he's run Winston Western. I think, in fact, he's competing in the morning in the Winston Western race, or the West Series race, I think they call it now.
Shelmerdine's second lap is quicker at a 41.27, but he anchors the list at 36th. Former championship winning crew chief. Casey Kane, then the old guy in the bunch, Joe Nemechek, and then other rookies, Scott Riggs, Brendan Gaughan, Brian Vickers, our fastest. Four rookies in the front 5. 7 cars to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Bud Chevy started 8th here last year, his best start. Finished 3rd here in 2001, his best finish, but he won a Busch race here in 1998.
You listen to this crowd here, there's no doubt who's out there qualifying, and I would say Casey Kane will be watching that board quite a bit during this qualifying run here because Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was 5th quickest in practice. Pretty good.
Pretty good right here.
He's on it. Lost a little bit off of turn 2 over here.
Earlier in the week, it was announced that Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the Speed Channel First Quarter Driver of the Year vote for 2004, and he pretty much won it by a landslide. Of course, that's the award that Ryan Newman won in 2003. Don't believe it's going to be a Bud Pole run, though, for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I actually think the wind is blowing harder now than it was earlier when qualifying started.
Car number 8 is 8th. 38 with a 38.8.
You heard interviewing him earlier about that Talladega finish, finishing 2nd. I tell you, pretty good points lead now for him, though. 94 points over Jimmy Johnson. But just remember, no matter how, if he is indeed leading the points at the end of 26 races, it don't matter if it's 94 points or 494 points. When we go to race number 27, it will be a 5-point lead.
They'll throw a caution flag over the field and tighten it up after 26 races.
It's going to be about the same type of lap. It is 2/100 slower.
38.808, 38.828. That's a lot of 8s. But he's led a lap in 7 of 9 races this year. 7 top 10 finishes. 3 straight top 5s. And as you mentioned, Larry, a 94-point lead.
And, of course, those 7 races he's led in, that's 35 of those points right there. 5 points for leading a lap in every race.
Mr. Obvious.
On TV.
What's that? Hey, DW, tell Junior Mommy needs her lipstick back.
And you know what's unusual about that sign?
Not
normally when I walk through the garage areas, it's tell DW.
Yeah, that's right. It's not my family and it's not my lipstick. It's the wrong color.
You know, everybody's a comedy writer out here. Some are employed, some not. Moving on, Sterling Marlin, the Coors Light Dodge. Never had a top 10 start here. He has 2 top 10 finishes, though, in the 7 years we've been coming to Fontana.
And I was looking at this car earlier. They have just slightly, ever so slightly adjusted the paint scheme for this car, and this is the paint scheme they will race the remainder of 2004. What a great run he had last week at Talladega. Just a freak thing. They run a shaker screen in front of the radiator that'll take tire rubber and whatever and shake it down where it don't go through the radiator, and that screen came loose and rubbed a hole in his radiator.
7th fastest, 38.76.
That's probably going better. It will definitely better his best qualifying effort here, which was 14th back in 1998.
Uncle.
Had enough.
That's enough.
That's a pretty sporty lap.
It is. It's a great lap. He'll be really happy with that, I'm sure.
Got to have a lot of Dodges up there in the top 10.
No surprise.
Yes, about 6 or 7 of them.
You know, every week we say that, it seems like. And then in the race, when we look at the board, it's like 1 Chevrolet, 1 Dodge, 1 Ford.
Parity rears its head.
Yeah. How's that happen?
Of course, the only place that Dodge has been able to close the deal as far as getting to victory lane was with Rusty Wallace at the short track at Martinsville 2 weeks ago. And when you look at qualifying here at Fontana, we've had 7 races. Now, qualifying was rained out in 1999, but we've had 6 different Bud Pole winners. Certainly, Casey Kane would like to become the 7th different one.
And did you know that the manufacturers, Chevrolet and Ford, right now are tied, 58 points each. Dodge third with 55.
Pretty tight.
Close.
Tight.
Look at this. Jeff Green in the Cheerios Dodge. Well, again, quick into turns 1 and 2. I should wait before I say look at this, shouldn't I?
I would wait until they get off the turn.
I'm going to tell you what, it's holding pretty good there.
It's going to be a good lap for the former Busch Series champ.
Well, he really ran well. Ooh, he got loose right there, though. He ran well out here in the Busch car.
He really sent it into turn 3, and it's holding up.
Yeah, it's going to be a good run for Jeff. Brand new car, been in the wind tunnel long. Looks like a top 5 run. Let's see where he ends up. 3rd quickest, 38.64. Wow. Good run.
Green started 7th here in 1997. Didn't come back until 2001. That's enough.
And that was his very first career top 10 finish in Cup.
Great run for Jeff Green. Third fastest behind Casey Kane and Joe Nemechek. Speed Channel's coverage of Budweiser pole qualifying from California Speedway is brought to you by Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner. And by Bombardier ATV. See the Outlander Max, made for 1 or 2 riders. Follow no one. Our 40th qualifier will be Greg Biffle. In the National Guard, Roush Ford. Right now, the fastest Ford is Elliott Sadler, 13th with a 38.97.
Greg was 25th quickest in practice. Up until the last couple of weeks, Greg and this group were pretty awesome on qualifying day. They've bobbled here just a little bit. Brand new car, untested, but they had it in the wind tunnel a couple of times, and they liked the downforce numbers they saw in this car.
What if he scrapes the wall off of turn 4 or not? That'd be a pretty good bet, because he does that about every other time. You remember we were talking about how many times we go through the garage on Saturday or Sunday morning, and the right side will be all scraped up, the right rear quarter panel. That's just kind of his trademark.
Shuts it down after a lap of 39.07. 17th fastest.
Greg made his very first career Cup start here in 2002. For Casey, you only have 3 more cars to go. Casey's talking to Casey.
Dick?
With Jeff Green, nice run. Picked it up a good bit from your practice this morning. How did you do that?
He's got a good Cheerios Dodge. These guys at the Fab Shop back at Petty Enterprises, and the motor room and everybody has really stepped it up. And
yeah, but there's a change between when you practiced and when you took your time trial. You're faster now. How'd you do it?
Going out 40th helped us a little bit, but it just, just put everything together. And I was not stupid enough to overdrive it, getting into one, and the car stuck really good. So just proud of all of my Cheerios guys, and for General Mills giving us an opportunity to do this.
And I've been listening on the scanner, and so many people have said that they overdrove it going into 1 and 2, overdrove it in 3 and 4. He didn't. He was listening to the scanner too. So there you go.
Great lap for Jeff Green, 3rd fastest behind Kane and Nemechek. Todd Bodine in 2001 started outside pole here and led 4 laps.
He won the inaugural Busch Series event here back in 1997. This group really struggled today just getting on the racetrack to practice. He really never got a lap in. They missed the show at Talladega last week, but they were pretty encouraged. They have a brand new Mark Smith TriStar engine in this car here. Don't believe it's going to be a very solid run. Of course, he will race on Sunday, though. He had a good run going here last year, driving for Travis Carter in that 54 car, and got caught up in a wreck on the backstretch late in the race. So Todd has always ran well here.
40.42, 39th provisional land, unless he picks it up. Second lap looks a little better going into turn 1, but like many of them, the Fox Tracker takes a sharp right as the car takes a sharp left off turn 2.
These are realistically the first full speed laps Todd's taken in this car, because they just couldn't really get out on the racetrack. I think he got out there and just rode around right before practice ended. So left to qualify after Todd, we'll have Tony Stewart in a 20 car, and Kenny Schrader in the 49 will be the last car to qualify. So Casey's got to wait out 2 more cars.
Second lap, almost identical, and Todd Bodine will be 39th. Don't know if we mentioned last week, his older brother Brett has been hired by NASCAR to work in their R&D center. Kind of neat to have someone with some recent both behind the wheel and team ownership experience over on the official side. Casey Kane has 2 to go. As Larry pointed out, Tony Stewart, the Home Depot Chevrolet, comes onto the speedway. Tony's not so excellent adventure at Talladega. Started when he got into Kurt Busch just enough to send Busch around, and then he got fell to the same fate off the front bumper of Jimmy Johnson, but recovered
But
then
this was the bizarre deal right here. This is after the checkered flag.
in this business, I read the quote released by the team that said he was turning left to get onto pit road. Sorry, but that's a lot further down track than pit road.
And you saw Greg Zimpindelli talking to Terry Labonte's crew chief, Jim Long. Terry Labonte had some damage, but I was talking to that group earlier. Their car was in pretty good shape. Now it has to have a front clip, and it about took the whole rear of Tony's car off.
Well, he's very impatient, guys. We know he wanted to get back down the end of pit road first, get turned around, get his spoiler checked, because sometimes you have to sit in line down there for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and that can throw you off as far as your escape plan.
But supposedly NASCAR President Mike Helton, some of the people from NASCAR was going to have a meeting with Tony this morning and just talk about some of these situations. Tony's 11th quickest on his first lap at a 38.88.
The reason given in the team release for Tony's making that left turn was to avoid the debris that was out on the racetrack that had come out of the grandstand.
But we're going to see a lot of Tony this weekend because he's in the race tomorrow and running pretty darn good and one of Childress's cars. So I'm sure we'll be talking about him a lot tomorrow and Sunday.
And I tell you, he had a dominant car here a year ago. He led 100 laps and had an engine failure while he was leading the race. Slows down on that second lap. That's a good qualifying run for Tony.
And that was a tale of the tape for him the first half of last year. They had several engine failures and gotten some wrecks. But then the second half, as always, Tony does come on pretty strong.
Tony Stewart, 11th fastest and 5th among the Chevrolets. It's all Chevy and Dodge in the top 10. 6 Dodges and 4 Chevys. Last man, Kenny Schrader in the Schwann's Home Service Dodge.
And he was 30th quickest in practice at a 39.63, which is over a second slower than Casey Kane's pole time right now, 38.51.
Smoking the right front.
Oh, yeah. You see how far it's rolled over, and that tire's getting up in the fender. And when they tape these things up solid and put new tires on them, and they stick real good, you roll that body over on top of that tire. Now, the right front is scary when it does that.
See right there, he really drove the car in the corner down to the middle, but you can see he's really paying the price because, I mean, it went from here to here, just from the middle of 1 and 2 to the exit of turn 2. Now, you were talking earlier, Mike. Yeah, he's competed in 15 races total here, 7 Cup, 6 West Series, and 2 Craftsman Truck Series races.
That thing is really over on the right front. You can just see how far rolled over it is. Look at the paint on top of the fender.
All blistered up.
Yeah,
there.
They've been working on that fender during practice.
First lap, 32nd, 39.43. Better on the watch than it looked, Darrell.
Yeah, well, and just think about it. It's almost like you're riding it. When that tire's rubbing like that, it's just about like riding a brake. When something like that's rubbing, it's slowing you down.
And you know what I'm impressed by, guys? We watched Kenny Schrader complete his second lap here. I know we talked about 43 cars. There's only 43 going to make this show, but Morgan Shepherd has made this show on time.
Right. How about
He's
that?
38th quickest.
Darrell, it looks like, rather than having been hammered on, it looks like the tire is burning that paint off the fender as Kenny makes his run.
Oh, yeah, it's getting worse, whatever. It's just the tire burning that paint up.
Like you said, Darrell, they run these springs so soft. They run real aggressive shocks to keep them pulled down. Cars just travel so much around this 2-mile racetrack.
Second lap for Schrader is slower. And we're done. Casey Kane has led a rookie charge here to win the Budweiser pole. Jeannie?
Well, you know, this job, you got to do a little bit of everything. Right now, I'm a human coaster, so let me give you back your due, buddy. And let's give you your due. Congratulations. I guess we should not be surprised. The early practice session, 4 of the 10 fastest cars were rookies, so maybe not a shock you're where you're at, yes?
Well, I don't know. I mean, these guys did a great job. Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge, Tommy Baldwin, everybody did an awesome job to do this. And our engines are running great. Our bodies are awesome. Everybody at the shop. So it was neat. It was, you know, it was a good lap. Siemens, Mountain Dew, Valvoline, everybody that supports our team. You know, this is cool. This is what we like to do.
You know, I can't help but notice, I actually had the privilege of interviewing you after you got your first pole, and you were so excited. And then I got to watch you here a little bit today. You're a cool customer right now. You got a couple of these underneath your belt, and you're just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we already got, that's our 3rd one now, so that's pretty neat. You know, we had a lot of fun. I mean, to get a pole, it's a lot of fun. It's exciting to run quick laps, and it feels good when you bring the car back and you're on edge the whole lap.
What is the difference? Is it just really with youth that you can be on edge and it's just the unknown and you're going for it? I mean, is that really what it comes down to?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to go for it. It's fun. We've had it. It's cool for a rookie to do it too. We're going for the bestest rookie of the year, and it was a good lap for us. So it's cool. We had a lot of fun. We'd like to thank Freightliner also.
All right, congratulations. As you said it for me, 3rd pole. Good luck.
It's the 6th pole for Dodge this season, as Kane has now tied Ryan Newman for the most poles this year. He and Front Row Joe will start up there tomorrow. We'll be right back. Welcome back to California Speedway, right alongside both Interstate 10 and Route 66 here in Southern California. Let's go down to Dick Bergman.
With Tony Stewart, people are still talking about last week at Talladega, the situation between you and Terry Labonte in the 5 car. What happened?
I decided I was going to make a short, quick cool down lap. We crossed the line and I slowed down and was just going to do a U-turn with all the debris that was out there and try not to roll through a bunch of stuff and worry about cutting a tire. And I didn't even think that Terry was down lower than me on the racetrack, and when I turned right into him. So I stopped over there actually after I qualified the Busch car, and all of his guys say I owe them all a steak dinner, so it's going to be a costly steak dinner, but not near as much as the damage I cost to both our Home Depot car and his Kellogg's car. So I owe those guys one over there. But it was, I mean, I'm telling you, last week was like a bad episode of the Twilight Zone for everybody, I think, at Talladega. But we're glad we all got out there. I got lucky. I had all my belts undone, my helmet undone, and still got hit. So, but I went in there and saw everybody but Terry, and all of a sudden Terry came flying out of the lounge, and he was laughing as he tackled me. So it was just, I'm telling you, it was one of those weird things. But I think I learned my lesson on making sure that I go ahead and just do the cool down lap like everybody else does from now on.
Okay, thanks for telling your side. Jeannie?
We haven't spoiled them yet.
Catching up with Ray Evernham, and I apologize, this mic was hot as we were going to you here, but you say we haven't spoiled him yet, and we're talking about Casey here. Really just a lot of fun to watch. Must be a privilege for you to work with him.
It really is. That's what I was saying. It's fun to watch. They're a young group, new guys, and like I said, we haven't spoiled them yet. It's fun to see those things happen for the first time.
Now, I've read quotes from you in the past, comparisons to him and Jeff Gordon. You still seeing that from him?
Well, I don't like to compare because it's really not fair to either one of them. But he does come from open wheel, and he's got a tremendous amount of talent like Jeff did, and he's just a nice person like Jeff is.
Can you take us through his lap? Because obviously you have some communication with him, and I guess he was saying at one point it was a little loose, but whatever, yes?
Well, actually, he said he probably overdrove turn 2 a little bit. He had to get on the brakes to come down get the thing to point down the straightaway. And he said he really was going through 3 and 4 good, and the car got a little bit loose with him, and he just made up his mind to keep his foot to the floor and kind of drive through it like he was in his sprint car.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks. We're really happy and proud of all the Dodge people here today and all the Dodge dealers. So it's great to have, I think, 6 or 7 Dodges in the top 10.
All right, great. I'll see you Sunday.
Here's a look at that top 10. 6 Dodges, 4 Chevrolets, and 4 rookies in the first 6 spots.
Scott Riggs, and my buddy there, and Brendan Gong, those are 2 just, and Brian Vickers, those are just rookies. I mean, they don't have any laps here.
A couple of veterans there, though. Sterling Marlin in row 4, Rusty Wallace back there in 9th.
And I'm glad Tony got to tell his side of the story, because I'm sorry, it looked pretty ugly last Sunday.
You got to have a story, and you got to stick to it.
It's okay.
That's the whole deal.
It's okay. There was no malice intended. That's the good news.
Saw Jimmy Johnson there qualifying 19th in a backup car.
And as you mentioned, there's Morgan. He made it on time, and proud of old Morgan. Driving hard.
Yeah. And nobody's charged with the provisional, as we had just barely a full field, 43 cars to run for the 43 spots. So we'll come back and wrap things up. California dreaming as we are. Stay tuned. Six of the top 10 Dodges, and right smack in the middle of that pack, the driver who will roll off 8th come Sunday, Sterling Marlin with Dick Bergman.
He said he would do the interview, Mike, as long as we promise to make it quick, because he's up in the truck. He's watching this broadcast, doesn't want to miss any of it. What can we expect from you on Sunday?
I don't know. We run race runs all morning and just put on a set of tires, made a stab at it, and bonsai run, and changed a few things and qualified really good. Best I've qualified here. And if we qualify good, we're going to be pretty good in the race. And the car's real good in pretty happy hour, I guess, this morning when we run. So looking forward to it.
So not a lot of effort into the time trial. Qualified well. You got a good car.
Yeah, we do. It's so 203 we had at Texas, and the driver run the fence out there and let the screw down, and it's a good race car, so I think we can win this thing.
Okay, thanks. Go on and watch the rest of the show.
We're on TiVo, which means that they see it just a little after it happens because we insert the commercial breaks and then pick up action where we left off. It's more complicated than that, but what the heck, it's television. Darrell, 4 rookies in the top 6 spots, but what about on Sunday? Do these fellas have, we know they've got the talent, the skill, and the stamina to go the distance, but do they have it up here to be up front at the end of 500 miles?
Hard to overcome that spirits, you know, and that's usually what pays off in a 500-mile race. You got to pace yourself a little bit. This isn't 400 miles, it's 500. So you got to take care of your car. Sometimes a rookie doesn't realize that until after the fact.
I'll be happy to be proven wrong should it be the case, because Rusty Wallace 2 weeks ago, I mean, the fellows with experience have been doing quite well lately. But Larry, what's the key to keeping the car consistent all day or making the car better as the race goes along here?
Well, I mean, we've seen at these 7 California races here at Fontana that it can be a strategy race. I mean, there's a lot of different racing grooves. Today, as these guys were qualifying, they were right around the bottom of the racetrack. But as Darrell pointed out earlier, we'll see 3 or 4 different grooves. But that crew chief, he has to start thinking, even though it's 250 laps, 500 miles, you've got to start thinking strategy right at the beginning of the race, because this race is known to have those long green runs. And the numbers say, if you believe in numbers, you don't have to qualify up near the front to win here, because a lot of the winners has come from outside the top 10 in these first 7 races here.
One of the things you got to pay attention to on Sunday is how hot it's going to be. It's supposed to be 95 degrees here Sunday. We saw guys at Talladega burn their cars down because of too much tape. Those crew chiefs better beware.
This place is hard on engine. 94, 9,500. It's those sustained RPMs. They stay up there. Always takes a toll on those engines.
And we saw he'd be a problem for several drivers as well as several cars at Talladega. Sunday could all be the same. A lot of NASCAR across the Fox networks, including right here on Speed. Coming up later tonight, trackside from the Speed Channel stage. Everybody getting ready. The fans are ready. They're all lined up.
We're going to have one of those rookies. We're going to have Brian Vickers. We're going to have Eric Norris, Chuck Norris' son, who runs on the West Coast on there. And we're going to have an interesting story. Austin Cameron fought a bout of leukemia last year. He's back racing, so we're going to have him on our show tonight as well.
Everybody getting set up for that, as right now the NASCAR Busch Series cars come out for their final practice session. They'll run 300 miles here tomorrow. Let's show you what's ahead. Final practice for the Cup cars tomorrow on FX and the NASCAR Busch Series on Fox. That's tomorrow. Sunday, the Auto Club 500 presented by Visa on Fox, and then back here to Speed Channel to wrap things up Sunday evening.
And don't forget, next weekend, Mother's Day, but we will be at Gateway St. Louis, Speed Channel qualifying on Saturday afternoon. FX, the Busch race under the lights on Saturday night.
What's this we?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, right. We will be there, the Fox family.
That must make me a stepchild, I guess.
Many tried, and among the rookies, 4 of them were among the Fast 6, but in the end, it was Casey Kane taking Ray Evernham's Dodge to its 3rd Budweiser pole of the season.